Sanda, you're sitting so far away from your camera, we can't see what you look like. You're hiding in a corner. This is not Ramana Ashram. No hiding here. I'm going to talk differently today. Last week, I came to satsang and I had nothing to say. So I just babbled. But I realized something has to change. For me in satsang, the words are not coming automatically. There are three different kinds of enlightened people. Those like Robert and Ramana, who have realized their true self, the unborn, that which is in a different dimension than the physical. And then there's the kind like Muktananda, an energy guru. His microphone is blasting through. Wait till I find it. Can you turn your microphones off? I can't find the one that's making noise. There are three kinds of enlightened people, like I said. Those like Ramana and Robert, who have found their true selves and quietly watch the world, feeling that it is illusory, the creation of themselves, just a magic show in consciousness. And then there's the other kind, like Muktananda, a wild man who has found God, the life force. Glad to join us, Angela. I've been waiting for you. Muktananda style gurus are very different. They have found God, the life force. They have found Shakti, and they make love to Shakti. They make love to love. They make love to energy. And they're very lively people. And they'll destroy you with the most severe look you can think of, or melt your heart with the sweetest look you've ever had. There's the third kind of enlightened person, which is the absolute fake. He or she may think that they're enlightened, but they're just full of shit, acting out a role. Now, both kinds frighten some people. The Muktananda kind frightens one kind of people, and the Robert frightens a different kind of people. Both should frighten the hell out of you, because you're going to lose everything you've ever wanted in the world. They're going to take it all away from you. Your life, your job, what you're supposed to be doing with your life. Everything that's important to you, they'll take away. But they'll give you heaven, ecstasy like you've never known, to reside in bliss and feel energies, and know that the world, it really doesn't act on the laws we think it does when we live stuck in the mundane world of academia and laws and traffic laws and all of that. It takes you into a different world, a non-mundane world, where every day could be ecstatic, where you realize the mundane world is a hell, a deadness, a great hell. But both kind of gurus are free. They're free of language. They're free of the worlds that language creates, the maps that different languages and different ideas create. And as such, they can do things you've never dreamed of. But usually they don't, because of the possible repercussions if their actions are made known. So they do like Robert. On the surface, they say certain words of love and light. But beneath the surface, they're kinds of devils that are creating very difficult situations for you to live through, because they take everything you hold dear away from you. Some people fear this state of oblivion that both kind of gurus take you for too. Maxie here is losing everything, and he thinks it's a catastrophe, when in fact it's the sign of closeness to a new awakening, where the old world doesn't mean shit in comparison. Angela is going through a terrible time now too, but as now as appears to be coming back to us, leaving the mundane world behind. Gurus, you should understand, are terrifying people. They want to take everything you hold dear away from you, so that you can find a greater world, a greater existence of love, devotion, surrender to God, and being held in the hand of God. Some gurus are really terrifying to their students, like Muktananda, like his teacher, Nityananda. They wouldn't give two hoots about shredding you in public, to humiliate you, to make you feel like shit, useless and hopeless, because they see that your pride is holding you in the mundane world. And they want you to see the world that they live in, feel the world they live in, where they're a veritable tiger, and not the lamb of people in the mundane world who fear everything. The world I want to take you to is indescribable. The words from the mundane world do not fit it. Even words like ecstasy, energies, Shakti, God, power. These words are from the mundane world. They don't touch the life in this other world. It's so hard to put in words. For example, now, at this moment, I feel the void. I feel ecstatic. I feel love. I feel the emptiness of everything around me, and yet its presence at the same time. I don't see it as an illusion. But I look into my own self, I feel into my own self, into my body and into my energy body around it. And all that I feel is happiness, is an energy like being kissed by God. I really don't know what the hell to say, because all my words would be of the mundane world. And it's hard to lift you out of the mundane world using mundane words. So I try to lift you directly from my heart with my energies. If only you knew what was in store for you after you awakened into this other world, whether it be the silence of Robert or the ecstasies of Muktananda. It's different. But in the case of Muktananda, I can say you live in a state of grace. Literally, you can do anything if you're willing to take the consequences. But you no longer feel tied to the mundane world at all. Presidents don't affect you. Military leaders don't affect you. A beautiful woman doesn't affect you. Handsome man does not affect you. Because you see deeper. It's their spirit you look at. What do you find there? So, how to get you out of the mundane world into this other world of God, of either silence and the unborn, the self that is not born, or into the world of Muktananda and energies of bliss and samadhis, of happiness and of power, where you're given power to do things in the mundane world, like Muktananda and many others. Where you are given license to change the world. But the transition to enlightenment can be a long and very painful process, as everything you hold holy now You drop. Family and their feelings are no longer important. Your friends fall away. Your family falls away. It's so hard to find people that are from the same world as you. I remember once I was with Myron Dial in Dia, and Myron was talking about the experiences he has when he's taken by his epileptic attacks into different worlds. You got to follow him on Facebook, Myron Dial, Dyal. And Dia said, "You're from my world." He was so different and out of it, and out of the mundane world, as was she. And spontaneously, she broke out and said, "You're from my world. You found another like yourself that was so far out that nobody else would understand. Where you're going now with me, to a different world, to a higher world, you might say, or to a more base world, will take your old world away." I thought, and I asked Robert many times, should I tell my mother of these things in her last years? And he said she wouldn't understand. You can't take your family with you here unless your family's already here and you're joining them late. The path I like the best is not Robert's, towards the mere recognition that I as a person do not exist. And the world is kind of an imaginary place that flickers on and flickers off and has a reality that varies from moment to moment. In my world, none of this is real because I see it keeps changing. I feel it keeps changing. Even the walls change. But most of all, my energies change from minute to minute. Who I am as I identify with the holy inside of me is ever changing. There's no stability, and yet there's complete peace. I can go days without knowing who I am because I keep radiating this energy, this happiness. Doesn't matter who I am. It's only people in the mundane world want answers to that question. In my own world, everything is always changing, 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 being refreshed, perceiving different energies, different currents, but always feeling total devotion towards the life force inside of me, which is always there in my gut and in my heart as crackling white light, and is experienced as an entity, almost as separate from me, like the life force is separate from me, and yet it is also me. You might say it's Advaita, only one, but it's really dualistic. God is in me as the life force, but I too am the life force talking through this vehicle. God and I are one in a sense. God is the life force in the universal sense of life everywhere, while I am the life force in this particular body, with my particular past and karma and so forth. And I see you. I see you as I see myself, hoping by my articulations and giving energy that you can see yourself as I see you. I see you all as the life force. I see you all as having the potential of infinite energy emanating from your core, making you as strong as the universe and weird as hell to anybody from the mundane world. You would have so much power. You could do things others have no idea about. But more or less, you have to conceal them while your body still is part of the mundane world. I constantly tell my students, people I know, to opt for total openness. But almost nobody I meet wants total openness. And they feel hurt when I take them to openness. But after you're realized, you have to be careful of your openness because you'll offend, maybe frighten people. But you'll deal with that when you come to that. In the meantime, you're just struggling to know God. I'll take 3 questions, and then we'll sit and listen to some chanting, and we'll deal with the energies in the most ecstatic way possible.
So I have a question.
Who's this?
Okay.
There's your picture.
So what do you mean by total openness?
I'm looking for your picture. Where are you?
I don't have a picture.
I don't even see an empty frame.
Really? Well, anyway, what do you mean by total openness? To opt for
No,
total?
I have to see somebody to talk to.
Okay.
I've got to find where you're located.
Right. Can you see it now?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Total openness means you conceal nothing. You don't care. You don't care what you don't care what people say about you. You're completely open. You do as you feel. You don't hold yourself back. And you sort of require that of anybody you're living with, to be open, to be fearless, to be able to express love, fear, hurt, anger freely, and to be able to accept it from another. Now, the gurus like Chaitananda totally disagree with me. They say any discovery you make in your sadhana, you must hide it like a treasure. Don't let anybody see it. Conceal everything. Muktananda did that. The things he did in private were totally concealed because the mundane world would not understand why he is diddling 13-year-old girls in private, why he's having sex with hundreds of his devotees when he preaches not to have sex. But the power he's exerting every moment is having enormous effect every moment. But he hides his part in it. And he always repeats, it's due to my Baba, to Nityananda. He does nothing. It's Nityananda. But you have no idea what was going on in those sexual acts he had with the 13 and 14-year-old girls. Do you think he was doing it for his own erotic enjoyment? A man 70 years old who couldn't get a hard on would try to penetrate 13 or 14-year-old because she needed him and his energy. There was a transference of power. Just like to many of you, I transmit power. And I feel power around some of you. It's like you allow me to feel my own power better among you. But gurus do things you wouldn't believe in a hidden way. And then they hide it for fear of the blowback they would get. As has happened to so many teachers who probably were not nearly as elevated as Muktananda and were screwing their female students mainly because they could. There was no enlightenment in it for them or for himself. I know that Robert had relationships with many of the women in his Sangha. And one of them confronted him in one of the early satsangs at Henry's house, 1990 or 1991. And in the question and answer session, she yelled out, "Robert, why did you stick your tongue down my throat?" In a very blaming way. Then she repeated it again. A few seconds later, Robert was stunned and silent. And then Henry spoke up. "Yeah, why did you stick your tongue down her throat?" And Robert said, "I thought she needed it." Sometimes when you express love for somebody, it's not to entice them into a sexual relationship, but just to let them know that you love them. Just to let them know that you find them special. Just to let them know that you feel devotion and love for them. Just to let them know they're not alone. But you have to be careful in doing it, especially nowadays with the Me Too movement. Nowadays, the best you can do is blow a kiss without some reporter accusing you of being, I don't know what, demon. But Robert mostly kept it hidden, except everybody knew he was a womanizer. But he didn't hide that he told everybody they were God. They were way more than they thought that they were. And he went to lunch with many of them. Now, while he didn't put me on his lap like Sasaki did with so many of his female devotees, he made me feel love. He made me feel special. And that's often what the guru does, but based on actions of the mundane world, based on erotic things or romantic things. But the thing is, he's not doing it for himself, but for you. Not you, Mark. I can tell you, Muktananda felt no real erotic, romantic happiness or fulfillment by trying to penetrate a 13 or 14-year-old, and he failed no more than being able to insert his penis a half an inch or so and stay there while the power flowed between them. There was no ejaculation with Muktananda or anybody in Siddha Yoga. It was a transfer of power. It was to allow the woman to feel loved, finally by her father. And the fathers they had may have ruined them. Other times, Muktananda was fierce towards his close students. He'd scream at them, yell at them, call them stupid, and do other kinds of things, but not to his general audience. It was only after you made it through the barrier that separated you from the general audience and you got in the inner circle where he worked on you directly and consciously. He was always messing with you, every moment. And people were so scared of Muktananda. He'd yell and they'd jump 10 feet, saying, "Ya Baba, Ya Baba, Ji Baba, Ji Baba." When the guru finally sees you and chooses you to be a target of his teachings, life can become hell because he shakes you ruthlessly until you come into his world. For outsiders, he can give you his penis, which didn't work, in secrecy, or he can tell you a funny story to 1,000 people at once in satsang and laugh uproariously and continuously. Have dancing to the Muzika, saptas, tell you about God, and at the same time fill the auditorium with the sweetest Shakti imaginable. So you felt held by God. And this is what the outsiders got. The insiders got crucified, and that's around almost any guru. The insiders get crucified because they're getting closer to God. They're jumping out of the miserable world that they had lived in. I remember what it was like to live in the miserable world, having no power, going from day to day, worried about rent, a sick cat, a failing relationship, all kinds of problems, all kinds of thinking. But when Shakti or a guru takes you out of the mundane world to the world of God, to the world of the life force, where you can literally, really see and feel God in your own self. You are no longer fit for the mundane world. You can't go back. You're forever uplifted out of it into the energies and into Shakti, into love, and seeking those who would be loved and surrendered to. How much I yearn to be with a woman to whose feet I could fall, whose feet I could kiss, who I could hold her knees and cry because I found her again. How much too should everybody here wish that if they had a lover so divine that they swept their heart away, swept your heart clean and clear and whole and able to surrender completely, to love like you've never loved before. You seem very distracted today, Mark.
It's just a little uncomfortable for me holding my position here, but I'm happy to be here.
Okay. I love you all. But I can't convey in words how deep that love can be when either you're with God inside of you as you and or as your companion, or the love and devotion you could feel with your beloved when Shakti or fate or God puts you together, two people that can be completely open, completely love each other, and that allows you to drop to your knees and to kiss their feet in utter awe, feeling total love that's white with energy, having no will of your own except to stay by her feet or his feet, who just wishes to die lying next to them because you feel so divine. You feel like you're going entirely beyond the human life into the divine life, and it's like a death. I love you all. I wish you could feel how much I love you. Maybe you do. But I also so much hope you can find a beloved to share your love with daily, minute by minute, second by second, where you feel completely relaxed next to your beloved in bed or side by side in a chair in front of a television set, or side by side in satsang, or just staring at each other over a video separated by 2,000 miles. The love is there so strongly. There's no need for words. You just smile. She smiles back at you. And your whole body is relaxed. You feel safe. You feel loved. And there's nothing to do. Nothing to say. Now, I'd like us to sit and listen to chanting for just 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to try to irradiate you with the energy I felt when I was with Janet or Dia or others. To try to have you feel the love I feel and I felt then. So we'll have a few minutes of chanting. Let me see if I can get it.
Radhe 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 Shyam Govinda Radhe Jai Radhe
That's a crappy one.
Shyam Govinda
Let me try a different one.
Govinda Radhe Radhe Shyam Gopal Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe Shyam Gopal Radhe 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 Shyam Govinda Radhe 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 Radhe